So, good morning everyone. Bonjour tous. We are very pleased to have with us today as our guest speaker, Jennifer Moyer. Jennifer has a BA Honors and is trained as an elder care counselor, a certified health specialist, and a certified transition and relocation specialist. Jennifer has worked almost 20 years in the healthcare and elder care industry. She is the owner and founder of AgeWell Solutions, an Ottawa-based company offering practical services and trusted guidance to aging adults and their children as they navigate and make decisions affecting their care, accommodation, and quality of life at every age and stage of older adult life. Jennifer has also been a lecturer on successful aging, myth or reality, at Carleton University's 2015 Learning in Retirement series. She has hosted annual Seniors Month celebrations, which are now in their 5th year, and I believe she's going to be speaking more about that later. She is the creator of the 60 Plus and Aging Well program, a health and wellness fundamentals program operational in the community since 2010. In her spare time, she is a cyclist and supporter of Lap the Gats for Parkinson's research and a past committee member of the Red Dress, a fundraising event for the Ottawa Heart Institute. Jennifer's talk today will hopefully help you to appreciate where you are in your own journey to aging well and where to direct your ongoing efforts for maximum benefit today and in the future. Nous sommes très heureuses d'avoir parmi nous aujourd'hui comme conférencière Jennifer Moyer, titulaire d'un baccalauréat avec spécialisation. Jennifer a suivi une formation de conseillère en soins aux aînés. Elle est également spécialiste agréée en santé publique et en transition et relogement. Jennifer travaille depuis près de 20 ans dans le secteur des soins de santé et des services aux aînés. Elle est propriétaire et fondatrice d'AgeWell Solutions, une entreprise d'Ottawa qui offre des services pratiques et des conseils fiables aux adultes vieillissants et à leurs enfants, alors qu'ils apprêtent à prendre des décisions concernant les soins, le logement et les qualités de vie à tous les âges et stades de leur vie d'adulte aîné. Jennifer a aussi donné des conférences ayant sur thème Bien vieillir, mythe ou réalité, dans le cadre de la série d'apprentissage pour retraités offerte en 2015 par l'Université Carleton. Elle organise les célébrations annuelles entourant le mois des aînés, événement qui est en sa 5e année. Elle a créé le programme Bien vieillir pour les 60 ans et plus, un programme couvrant les notions fondamentales de la santé et du bien-être offert à la communauté depuis 2010. Parmi ses loisirs, elle fait du vélo et elle appuie le défi vélo pour la recherche sur le Parkinson. Elle a fait partie du comité de la robe rouge, un événement de financement pour l'Institut de cardiologie d'Ottawa. Jennifer nous parlera aujourd'hui des petits secrets pour bien vieillir. Cette discussion vous permettra de voir où en est votre cheminement pour bien vieillir et comment orienter vos efforts pour profiter au maximum de la vie maintenant et à l'avenir. La présentation de Jennifer est en anglais seulement, mais vos questions peuvent être posées en français durant la période de questions. Jennifer.
Thank you, Rebecca. That was very well done. It's not easy to deliver that much information in your second language when you're not used to doing that every day. Thank you so much. So good morning, bonjour tout le monde. Quel plaisir d'être ici avec vous ce matin. What a privilege it is to be here this morning and part of this annual general meeting for the Ottawa chapter of the National Association of Federal Retirees. Thank you for the invitation. Merci beaucoup pour l'invitation. For me today, this is a very special opportunity. I have a captive audience. The doors are closed. And I have the opportunity to share with you ideas about a topic I am very passionate about. And that is simply the possibilities about aging well today, and the active role that each and every one of us can play in setting the table for the most positive aging experience yet that really any generation has had to date. I will tell you, I am coming here today after recently attending a conference that was hosted by the University of Calgary's Public Policy Department. The topic of the conference was Living Healthy in Old Age, Dreams, Realities, and Consequences. Of course I had to attend it, right? This discussion, you will appreciate, was very much focused on public policy and how public policy affects our aging well ability as a community, as a society here in Canada. And it was very interesting and informative and insightful, but I have to tell you, the conversation became very animated as we passed from policy talk to what are Canadians themselves doing to promote their own aging well experience. And what would be the benefits if we as a society could support their efforts moving forward. So there is a lot of, as I say, animated discussion about this topic of aging well and our own individual responsibility therein. And anyone that has ever taken my 60 Plus and Aging Well course will know we put a lot of emphasis on our own ability and responsibility to age well. So certainly there is much opportunity as a collective to support aging well across the board. But as we wait for the economists and the public policy leaders to figure out just how to do that, what is going to be the best formula moving forward, you know, time is a passing. And we are aging right now, and we still have the opportunity to do much today about what the rest of our aging experience looks like. So there is no time to waste at all in mindfully setting the course to enjoy an overall healthier and happier aging experience. See if I can use this technology. I am also coming here today, however, as someone who works every single day with aging clients and their families as they try to navigate their way through some of later life's transitions, challenges concerning some of the big decisions they have to make, housing, healthcare, how to care for somebody else, and how to stay healthy and feeling well as long as possible. So I certainly bring all of those experiences and those stories with me, and they remind me every single day how important it is to invest right now in your own health and well-being moving forward, and to do it very consciously and to do it very purposefully. So we're going to spend some time this morning discussing the not so deep secrets of aging well, and also try to connect you, not just give you the information, but to connect you with the resources and the people and the experts in your own community that can help you move forward with these objectives. And these are all the exhibitors that are out in the hall today. So why do we say the not so deep secrets? Well, because for the most part, a lot of this is common sense. And for the most part, we should be able to implement these strategies that are being suggested with mild to moderate effort. The Aging Continuum. It's right here. We are all on the aging or life continuum, however you want to frame it. Do you recognize yourself on there somewhere? Can you relate to any of the phases of life that are being depicted there? True, the specifics of your life journey will vary, naturally, but we all have the same beginning as that little wee tiny person, and we will all have the same end. Naturally then, it's all the stuff in the middle that is most interesting. That stuff, some of it has already happened, and they are our memories and they are part of our history. I am sure in reflection, some of you expected some of the things that have happened to have happened. Some of the things you would not have expected to happen, and they did. I'm also reasonably sure that there are some things you would definitely do again, and some things you would definitely not do again. Am I right? Yeah. That is, of course, the benefit of hindsight, isn't it? But now as we journey forth on the continuum, we want to make sure that our future stuff and experiences are going to be as memorable and as positive as possible. Yes, there are going to be challenges, no question. However, this time around, I can assure you that we don't need hindsight to know that by prioritizing your health and well-being today, there will be some big payoffs down the road for you. First, let me ask you, what do you think of this question or debate as it pertains to your aging experience from the perspective of health and well-being? Is it nature? Is it nurture? How many of you think that lifespan and quality of life are more or less predetermined by your genes? The nature factor. Hands high. Predetermined, more or less. How many of you think that lifespan and quality of life are largely a reflection of the choices that are made along the way, or the nurture factor? Okay. Excellent. How many of you think there is room for negotiation between the two? Okay, I like it. I'm with you, by the way. Well, we can't really argue that genetics don't play a role at all, right? I mean, because they certainly do. They absolutely do. But it is equally hard to argue that our own choices, and yes, some environmental variables as well, don't also heavily influence our lifespan, our health span, and ultimately our aging experience. Any guesses on what percentage researchers allot to the nature factor and what percentage they allot to the nurture factor when it comes to longevity? Any guesses? 30-70? 22? Okay, that's specific. 50-50? Okay, I'm glad to see you're thinking, and thanks for participating. This is good. Well, we think longevity is probably 70-75% lifestyle. This is Dr. Angela Brooks Wilson, who is head of the Cancer Genetics Group at the Genome Science Center in British Columbia, and her team have more or less been able to conclude from their research over the years that longevity is probably 75% lifestyle. So while they are definitely acknowledging both aspects of the nature and the nurture debate, there is no question that lifestyle and conscious choices made and actions taken, implemented along the way are probably going to have the biggest impact on longevity for the majority of people today. But here's another question for you. Is it all about longevity? Quality of life, QOL, as we like to say. Of course, it is a great deal about quality of life. Perhaps the most important, so more important than straight longevity, of course, is this notion of health span. How many of you have heard the term health span before? All right. As opposed to just looking at lifespan, which is from date of birth to date of death, health span looks at the period of time in which you are feeling well. You are feeling healthy, you have autonomy and functionality. And most of us would agree that the quality of our day-to-day or health span probably trumps the desire to live a long, 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 long life. This is where the notion of compressing the morbidity years And this was a term that was used over and over and over at this conference I attended. Compressing the morbidity years, so reducing the number of years we live with a degree of illness or ill health. That's what becomes most important. How can we minimize those number of years? And that is, the focus of today's talk. My next question, I have lots of questions for you. My next question for you is, what does aging well mean to you? If I throw it out there, what comes to mind aging well? Sorry? Driving a car, says Ruby Elver. She just wants to get around and keep getting around. Hear, hear. I love it. What else? Do what you want to do. I heard that. Travel. Playing sports. Health. Independence. Able to walk. The basics, right? It is the basics. How about these? Comfort. Contentment. Do you have reached a level of contentment in your life? Choice. To think you still have some choice about things. Independence. We did hear that. You just want to feel well. You want to get up every day and feel well, feel good. To have a purpose. Aging well and having a purpose, something to do that's meaningful with your days, is important. A chance for self-actualization. Maybe you devoted a lot of time and energy supporting a company, working in your job day to day, but there's this other part of you that hasn't been realized yet. And you want a chance for some self-actualization in some fashion. Maybe it is simply just to feel safe and secure, to love, and to be loved. To have a sense of connectedness with the world, with the people in it, or spiritually as well. Maybe it's to belong, to know you belong to something, whether it's a family, a community, a group, you are part of something is an important feeling. And maybe it's just to be able to do the things you want to do, right? To drive, to walk, to play sports. And someone said exactly this, do the things I want to do. Well, aging well is really all these things and more. But what is most important is what is going to be your own interpretation of aging well. And how well you are doing in making that interpretation real. So, are you aging well? What is left? These are rhetorical questions now. So, are you aging well? What is left to do in order to age well? What aspect of your life needs some attention? What strategies are you consciously using on a daily basis to help you reach your age well goals? Now, I certainly don't propose to have all the answers or the strategies, but I do have some not so deep secrets about aging well. So we're going to take the balance of our time here this morning to look at some of those key areas of what I like to call, I'm going to coin this phrase, by the way, your age well potential. What is your age well potential? And I want to offer you some information, tips, and strategies to help you pursue them further, should you, and here's another operative word, choose to do so. So first, let's take a look at exercise. And you'll see in the little caption below, it says it is not a bad word. Okay? Exercise is not a bad word. Although I did have one client that insisted that it was. I had to laugh, of course, and we did joke about it, but really, in fact, exercise is said to be that elusive fountain of youth that we're all seemingly searching for. With 270 bones, 360 joints, 640 muscles, there is no disputing it. We were designed by nature to move. Not to move is this. It is almost literally to rust out, to seize, to literally lose the ability to do so much of what is necessary to staying independent and functioning. Getting dressed every day, driving, grocery shopping, getting in and out of the bathtub, going up and down the stairs, preparing and cooking food, and of course the list goes on. It all requires action and movement. Many of the activities I just mentioned are called ADLs or IADLs. Ever heard that term before? Those are your activities of daily living and your instrumental activities of daily living. And many in the health profession will talk about those, or in the insurance world will talk about those as well. I wanted to share this with you today to help make my point about the importance of exercise that much clearer. This is the Frailty Scale. It is a tool used by physicians to measure the physical functioning of their patients. It was created by Dr. Kenneth Rockwood, a doctor from the Faculty of Medicine at Dalhousie University, as part of the 2007 Canadian Study on Health and Aging. It was developed, as I say, to help physicians gauge how their older patients in particular were really faring. The scale is comprised of 9 stages of functioning divided into 3 separate levels, if you will. In the first level, the very fit and well stages rather, we see that exercise, which I have underlined there in red, is a consistent and regular component. Continuing on, one might still be considered to be managing well with minimum exercise, but there is thought to be a slightly reduced level of overall functioning. Perhaps difficult to measure, yes, but present nonetheless. Moving even further down the scale into the next level, and the reference to exercise all but disappears, doesn't it? Obviously, the goal is not to proceed any further down the scale any faster than necessary. And exercise is definitely one of those things that can help you do that. The good news, if you're looking at this scale, which I'm sure most of you had, and you're trying to find yourself on there, right? Where am I? What best describes me? Okay, maybe you're thinking, oh great, I'm okay, I'm at the top of the scale, or I'm sliding down there a little bit. The good news is that movement up and down the frailty scale is possible. Even if you've classified yourself today in one of the later stages, the possibility does exist to improve your stage of physical functioning with some work, and yes, with some exercise. You know, the benefits of exercise are well known and irrefutable. Mobility, flexibility, endurance are all critical to our ability to work, to play, and maintain everyday independence. Rules of thumb. You don't need to be an Olga Kotelko, which we're going to talk about a little bit later, our 94-year-old master track and field athlete. You know, you don't need to be an Olga Kotelko, but there are some things that you can do. The rule of 32. I love this rule. I talk about it quite a bit. The rule of 32 says, you know what, it's better to be in constant motion, up and down, moving about, instead of going for one hardcore workout every day, or 3 times a week, or whatever you do. It's better to keep this instrument that we have right here moving at all times. Move 32 times a day. Start counting, see how you do. Aerobic and weight-bearing exercise is also very important to have both aspects of that. Building endurance. Okay, purposely try to build up your endurance and stamina. That will translate for you into resilience later on. And variety. Another rule of thumb is always have variety in the types of exercise that you do to keep you interested, right? And to get the benefits of cross-training. Okay? Pretty straightforward. How do you do this? Right? How do you do this? There are so many opportunities and ways to become active. City of Ottawa Older Adult Rec Program. Anita Finley is right out here today with, right back there now, taking it all in, but she's here with some great information about what the City of Ottawa offers in terms of rec programs. Jonathan Chant is here from Fitness for Freedom. What a great name, fitness to give you freedom. He's a personal trainer. He and his team will do one-on-one consults. They'll go to your home. You can work in a group setting. Whatever makes you most comfortable, they're here. Maybe you just need to commit to something. Maybe you can sign up for a walk or a charity run or something like that. Get the date on the calendar and you start working towards that goal. Join a club or a group with the same interests and build it into routine. Make it part of your everyday. Trouble getting started? Grab a friend, find a coach, or a personal trainer. The brain. It's the next section. This is really interesting because we've made so much progress in the last 10 to 15 years about the brain in terms of research and understanding how it works. And the research is very encouraging and very fascinating. Things to know about the brain? Well, overall, as we age, our brain volume naturally decreases due to a loss of cells. And this is actually what it may look like. This is normal. A loss of cells does not equate or mean a loss of capacity, though. Okay? So there may be changes happening, yes, but it doesn't mean you're no longer capable or able to make decisions or you're thinking clearly or anything like that. Not at all. Sometimes these changes, however, do find expression in the real world. Signs of cognitive change might be forgetfulness, problems learning new things, periodic confusion, word-finding difficulties, reasoning difficulties, slower information processing, and a lack of insight, mood, or behavior change. How many of you have ever forgotten the name of someone you're pretty sure you should know? Yeah, I've done that. It's one of my greatest fears when I go into the public. How many of you have ever forgotten the location of your keys? How many of you have ever gone down the stairs or up the stairs and got there and went, Yep, don't know what I'm here for. Yeah, we've all done it. That's okay. That's not anything to be worried about at all. Normal situations. However, it is important to pay attention to brain health as well. And in so doing, you should be aware of what some of the roadblocks to cognitive health are. Depression and emotional stress, poor physical or cardiovascular health. There is direct evidence linking cardiovascular fitness and brain health. Isolation, a lack of cognitive stimulation. One of the best forms of cognitive stimulation is conversation. So if you find that you're not connecting with people or having a chance to engage with people, understandably then it's not stimulating your brain in a very robust fashion, and simply lack of motivation. I was going to show you a little video clip today from the Alzheimer's Society website. Well, that's actually from the Freedom Living website that talks about brain health. I don't think we have time to show it, but if you have a chance at some point, go take a look at it. It's really interesting, it's fun, but it's meaningful in terms of how you can promote your own brain health. As far as promoting your own brain health, what I can say is practice brain health. Okay? Think about exercising your brain like you think about exercising your body. Exercise your brain. What's good for your heart is good for your brain. There is strong evidence linking aerobic exercise to the maintenance of cognitive function. Maintaining muscle mass. Who would have thought? But there's a lot of studies coming out right now about muscle mass and how it is also linked to brain health and the health of your other organs and systems. Feed your brain with essential vitamins and nutrients through a healthy low-fat diet. This will reduce certain related risk factors. Engage your brain. Fire it up. and use it, okay? Through conversation, socialization, music, and dancing. Expand your brain. And what's most important here is the idea of doing something new and challenging that you haven't done before, that isn't routine, that you can't just default into and execute. You have to force yourself to do something different and think differently, and then that's what happens. Your dendrites fluff up. And if you lived at my house, you would hear about the dendrites being fluffed up, because I like to talk like that. And I say to the kids, come on, let's go fluff up the dendrites, right? Let's get the brain working, okay? And this is an actual picture of a brain dendrite that is being actively stimulated and growing. And that's what happens when you do that. It actually grows and reaches out for other dendrites, and they start to connect. So if you're not doing that, what's happening? You're left with little twigs. Okay? The twigs aren't going to work so well for you. Nutrition. Another cornerstone of healthy aging at every age and stage of the aging continuum is, of course, good nutrition. While you may have reasonably good eating habits today, it's worth appreciating that with age, our nutritional needs do change, as does how we process food change, and that making some adjustments to our diet might be recommended. For example, our body weight can change. It can increase or decrease due to metabolism changes, hormonal changes, changes in levels of activity. If you stop working, you're not as busy anymore from that aspect, your activity may drop. Or maybe there is an underlying health issue. Body composition shifts. Oftentimes, with age, a natural progression as well is the loss of muscle mass, and something, for many, many reasons, you have to work very hard at maintaining muscle mass. And the ability of our body to absorb vitamins and minerals changes as well through our intestinal tract. The importance of nutrition, though, it's expressed in so many ways, right? It maintains our energy levels. It builds resistance to illness. It allows you to recuperate faster after illness. It helps maintain a healthy body weight. It prevents muscle wasting. It improves the management of chronic health problems and reduces the risk of developing others. And it offers an opportunity for social engagement and pleasure. Who here likes to eat? Right? So let's marry the pleasure with good choices in order to benefit from all of these aspects. Barriers to good nutrition and the solutions. Knowledge may be a barrier. You're not sure what to eat. You're not sure where to go, how to get it. Motivation. Maybe you live alone. Maybe you're prepping and cooking for one and you've just sort of lost interest. Maybe there's a cost issue. Knowledge, I can tell you, you can be, for medical reasons, be referred by your doctor to a registered dietitian, and they will do a full evaluation with you, taking into account what you like and what you don't like, what your health needs are, underlying conditions, what a service. Loblaws, Carly Felez is here today out in the corridor. Loblaws offers free of charge in many of their stores access to a registered dietitian. You can go in and sit down with them, and they will review all of these things with you. They will give you a tour of the store. They will introduce you to new foods. They'll tell you how to prepare them. Like, you're running out of excuses, right? I'm giving you all the answers here, so there's no excuse for not aging well now. You could join and come to the 60 Plus and Aging Well program we offer. Refer to the Canada Food Guide. Some people live by this thing and they find it very effective, and it's available online or hard copy as well. If it's a question of motivation, invite someone for dinner. Reach out, stretch yourself if that's difficult to do, but invite others to dine with you. Shop with someone else. This is my mom's. She's like, I want to come shopping with you. I'm always eating the same thing. I don't know what's out there anymore. Let me come with you and see what you're getting. It's kind of interesting. It's fun, actually. Join a dining group or a cooking school. Do a recipe swap. If you're getting bored with your recipes, try a swap. If it's a cost issue, plan your menu ahead of time. We should do this anyway, just to make sure we have a balanced diet, and we know what we're going to get when we get there. Seek discounted items. Frozen is just as good as fresh, quite frankly, and make over your leftovers if you can. Links to nutritional information, we can make those available to you after, so you can follow up on any of these wonderful resources should you choose. Medication use. This is another great and very necessary topic to touch on when it comes to aging well. Why? Well, first, aging adults are pretty big consumers of medications. And second, they are at higher risk of experiencing side effects associated with medications due to changes in organ function and the complexity of some of the medication regimes. Medication and drugs, whether manufactured or naturally occurring, prescribed or over-the-counter, can be very helpful and necessary to successfully managing chronic conditions or overcoming specific episodic cases of illness. When properly prescribed and taken properly, pharmaceutical therapy can prolong life, reduce suffering, and increase quality of life for seniors. This is great news for anyone that relies on medication. On the other hand, there are very valid and significant concerns about medication use and management for older adults. We're just going to skip through this one if you don't mind. So why? Well, because of the sheer number of medications a senior may be taking at any one point in time. In a 2005 study, it was shown that for those between the ages of 60 and 79 years of age, they took on average 35 different medications in a year. For those individuals that are older, on average, they take 74 different medications over the course of the year. It's called Polypharmacy. Some questions. What percentage use their medications correctly or incorrectly? Less than 30% of individuals today use their meds correctly. What percentage of hospital stays are caused by adverse drug reactions? 33%. And what percentage of adverse drug events are considered preventable? 25%. I thought it would have been higher too. However, for me, what this says is that there is a lot of opportunity for improvement, right? To minimize the use of drugs, or at least ensure proper use of medications being taken so as to reduce hospital stays and these adverse drug reactions. This is the medication management hierarchy I wanted to share with you. First of all, in the ideal world, we can prevent the need to use medication by practicing a healthy and balanced lifestyle. I recently had a conversation with a pharmacist, and he said, you know what, Jen? When I look around my pharmacy, 80% of the medications on the shelves could be eliminated through lifestyle choices alone. It's like, wow, 80%, right? That's where we start, if we can. The next stage in the hierarchy is to reduce the need of medications. Maybe you're on medications, but maybe there's an opportunity to reduce your dependency. Maybe that's going to be through weight management or weight loss, increased knowledge and socialization. Some people will take medications for depression or stress, and by engaging with the world and connecting with others, they can actually reduce their need for that kind of medical therapy. And third and last, just optimize the effectiveness of the medications you are taking. If you are on medications, make sure you know why you're taking them. Make sure you know what dosage you're supposed to be taking. Make sure that you've taken the time to review your medications with a pharmacist to make sure you're getting the maximum benefit. So, the short list, what can you do? Check your lifestyle first and foremost. Get to know your pharmacist by name. This is one of my greatest suggestions or recommendations, is that get to know your pharmacist well and give them a chance to know you. You can walk in at any time and ask them a question, and they are so knowledgeable. They receive about 6 years of pharmaceutical training in comparison to your physician, which might receive 1 course. Know your medications, as I say, what, why, and how much. Request a meds check appointment. This is a full evaluation of your medication regime that is paid for by the province. Use blister packs for med distribution if it's getting complicated. Keep a summary of your medications handy at all times, and store your meds properly. Housing. How are you doing? All good? Okay. Where we live and how we live is one of the known social determinants of health. Think about your home today. And I want to introduce a notion called right-sizing. Not downsizing, not moving, none of those terms, but right-sizing your living space to you. Given longevity today, it is possible you will have more than one occasion in later life to right-size your living environment based on changing needs and use. My mom, for example, has gone from the family hobby farm to a bungalow in town. She is now expressing interest in condo living, although not quite at the point of making a move. And perhaps at some time further along the continuum, she will move into a retirement home, which she is not adverse to doing at all. But where you are today is where you're going to start your assessment of, where you live now a right size for you? Is it the family home that used to be full of family members? Does it complement your lifestyle? Right? Are you traveling? Are you on the go? Are you wanting to spend as much time gardening and taking care of your home as you had in the past, for example? Is it a pleasure or is it a burden? Are your needs the same, health-wise, use-wise? Are they different or are they changing? Right size to thrive. Here we have a little person in a big house, not exactly the right size anymore, and then somebody else that has made a change and it's just kind of the right fit now. The way you can approach this is many different ways. You can stay where you are and perhaps modify your existing home if there are certain elements that now represent a risk for you. You know, Kyla Colleen is here from Next Step Transitions, and they specialize in modifications to the home. If you're not ready to go, but you're having trouble negotiating the space, there are changes that you can make to that space so you can stay there longer. So can you make a modification to your home? Right size or downsize for a better fit. Maybe it's just simply too big. Maybe you're just spending too much money on a house you're not really using anymore. Relocate for better access, convenience, and safety. Maybe where you are is not allowing you to easily access the services you need to remain independent. Maybe you're too far removed from social opportunities that would keep you engaged. Maybe it's a question of transportation and so forth. Declutter to reduce and reclaim. Anyone have some clutter? That always gets a joke. That always gets a laugh. Absolutely. Everyone can relate to that. Right? Sometimes you just need to start by decluttering. You can't possibly think of moving or making any other changes because you have to deal with your stuff. And in my work, I learned very, very quickly that we had to deal with the stuff first. I would talk to people, they wanted to move, they knew it was the right thing, it was time to right size, it was time to go into town, and they get all excited, and then they'd sit back and they go, oh yeah, but what am I going to do with all this stuff? And everything stopped right then and there, and it's like, you know what, let's deal with your stuff. Let's clear your mind, let's clear your space. Some people then go, hey, this isn't so bad. I can stay here. Or others go, great, this is done. I don't have to worry about it. Let's talk about the next step. Because they could see it happening. So declutter to reduce and reclaim your space. Right-sizing your home is about independence. It is not relinquishing your independence. It is about keeping you independent. Okay, I'm going to scoot through here. I used to work in insurance, and it was a wonderful time of my career. And this is where housing and insurance are very similar. It is better to consider these questions regarding right-sizing your living arrangements too soon than too late. just like when you buy insurance, right? Healthcare navigation. How are we doing for time? Okay, not too bad. This day and age, with people living longer and the likelihood of requiring some degree of care for some period of time in your life, you know, it really is in your best interest to think about your healthcare navigation questions now and to get organized. This is not something that you want to deal with out of the blue if you can do something about it in advance. Accessing care today. There's two main sources of care. The first one is our formal healthcare system, right? OHIP, Canada Health Act. Under that program or those services fall our doctor, our hospital, medical clinics, community care access center, for example, which is also changing, and community health centers, where you can essentially present yourself and receive care, right? How many of you have ever received a bill from your doctor? No, because it's part of the formal care system and it is covered by the government. The other, I hear some murmuring. Any comments on that one? The other care system that you will access and you need to be familiar with is what? If it's not your formal care system, it is going to be your informal care system. Part of that system is your partner, your spouse, children, extended family, friends, neighbors. What percentage of all care is provided through the informal network? 1%. I need another answer. 50%. It's all individual too, right? It all depends on your particular network, so certainly not to dismiss that at all. But through the surveys that have been done, I can tell you that 75% of all care that is delivered to Canadians today is delivered through their informal network. Okay. So at this point in time, as you think about your healthcare navigation and how you're going to set the table for a positive healthcare experience moving forward, I always like to encourage people to start with building their resource library, right? Know who your formal and informal sources of help are. Document it. My healthcare resources document is something we provide at Age Well Solutions and work through with our clients to consolidate this information. Who are the formal and informal sources of help? Have you spoken with them, particularly your family? Your medical and non-medical advocates. What would be your housing preferences if you had to move or health prevented you from staying where you currently are? What about your insurance and healthcare benefits? Do you have any? What do they offer you? Power of attorney information. Is it up to date? Is it collected? Is it documented somewhere so that you can share that information with somebody else that's going to have to advocate on your behalf? The opportunity. 80% of older adults say they will do whatever it takes to avoid moving into a long-term care facility. Do you know how many people have actually documented or done or compiled their resource library or done any of the real legwork? Or researched their independent living strategies, more specifically? They say they're going to do it. You know how many have? 46%. Not bad, but that means that 54% of people really haven't paid any attention at all to this particular matter. So create a plan, know your resources. A personal navigation tool takes time and effort to compile, but once you've completed it, you will have added an important missing piece to your written retirement plan. And I will emphasize the word written because it's really important to take the conversations that have taken place around the kitchen table, right, and document them. Conversations are open to interpretation, and you can have one message, but if you have 3 sets of ears, how many different messages or interpretations are you going to get? 3, right? You will save your family a huge task in the future, and you will have the peace of mind of knowing that you do have a plan in place. Talking about healthcare navigation and preparation dovetails very, very nicely with powers of attorney, a necessary conversation when we talk about aging well. For both financial and personal care needs, this is a discussion you have to have, even if you don't really feel like it, right? It may in fact be the single most important conversation you have, as it will protect your choices and empower those you trust to act on your behalf. If you are having trouble getting started with this conversation or updating your documents or finding the motivation to do it, you could read a book, something like this. Can't we talk about something more pleasant, right? About a daughter's actual experience trying to bring her parents to the conversation table so they could talk about these things. You could also talk to a lawyer. We have Burke Robertson here today. They specialize in powers of attorney and wills. They can definitely give you some direction and guidance there as well. I'm going to scoot through here too, because I'm running out of time. Connectedness. We can't talk about aging well without talking about your connectedness with others. Being connected with others means sharing your time and interests with them, exploring and embarking on new adventures together, and sharing even the burden of some of life's challenges when they come along. That is what all that stuff was about on the Aging Continuum that we looked at off the top. In many cases, being connected is what makes life meaningful and increases our contentment and the happiness quotient that we have. Social connectedness has been proven scientifically to have a positive effect on health as well. There are biomarkers that are linked to our feeling of being connected with others and how well we feel. People who remain actively engaged in life and connected with those around them are generally happier, in better physical and mental health, and I really like this one, are more empowered and capable to deal with some of life's challenges. They can cope better because they feel that they have a support network around them and people are there to help. Here are the results of a government survey that was conducted and helps make the link between the sense of being connected and how well we feel. Those who felt well, 59% of them had daily contact with somebody else. 49% of people who generally felt well, right? Well, they saw people at least once a week. 46% once a month, and onwards it goes down, right? The less contact they were having with people on a regular basis, the less well they felt, generally speaking. Older adults tend to have very condensed and emotionally close networks that are both fun. They want the fun, they want to get out and socialize and have a good time, but it's also very functional. Social networks often evolve into care networks with an underlying premise of reciprocity. My suggestion and recommendation in this area is you need to consciously build your networks and this idea of connectedness. You need to value them, which means it goes both ways. If you want to receive, you need to give, and you need to tell people how much they are appreciated. And you need to constantly work hard at replenishing these networks, because you will lose people in your life and there will be holes left, but you need to continue to seek to fill those holes and remain connected. Nurture connectedness with your partner or significant other. Tell them how much you love them and you care for them. If you have lost that person, look for ways not to replace them, but to fill that void in some fashion. Linda Miller is here today from Misty River Introductions, and she and her team work hard to make matches for people that are seeking that someone special. Because sometimes it's difficult, right? When's the last time you dated? Right? If you've lost a spouse, you're suddenly on your own, your marriage has broken down, you're like, I'm going out to the bar tonight, or to the dance hall tonight, or wherever you used to look for somebody. You might not be comfortable doing that. right? A service like Misty River Introductions can help you along that path, help it be more confidential and more comfortable for you. Your family is obviously a wellspring of connectedness. They offer support, belonging, attachment. Your friends, again, offer support and build your sense of self-esteem, spiritual community, and even your own self. You know, can have that inner sense of contentment, connectedness with self, with the greater being, spirituality, and gratitude. We're almost there. Okay. I am going to mention purpose. Very important to find a purpose for your everyday, to stretch. It will give you an identity. It will allow you to learn new skills and feel valuable. You will benefit from that happiness effect, the survey results of which we just looked at. It gives you something to look forward to and a sense of satisfaction and accomplishment. Really, it's a reason to live. Hurricane Hazel. We had Hazel McCallion up last year at the seniors event. Her book, the subtitle there is A Life with Purpose. You know, a life with purpose. Who had more purpose in her life than Hazel, right? 2 careers, started in the role of mayor at age 57, right? Very strong spiritual connection. And she does talk in her book about the importance of having a purpose for your days. Olga Kotelko, right? Olga Kotelko raised the bar. In her book, she talks about raising the bar for yourself in terms of finding purpose. Her purpose was to be the best she could possibly be in track and field. And every day she got up, and that was her purpose, her goal. I'm going to work hard today, and I'm going to eat well, I'm going to exercise, and I'm going to push myself, I'm going to raise my bar. How can you raise your bar and self-actualize in certain areas? Okay, almost there. Honestly. I'm going to get the hook. So aging well is a concept, a notion, an ideal of how we are going to continue along the timeline of life and into older adulthood. What is so wonderful about the era we are living in is that we do have the knowledge, the awareness, and the supports that we need to actually age well and fulfill our age well potential, should we choose to do so and proactively embrace this notion and work on it. I always say in our 60 plus and aging well courses, we go through all this information, I say, but I'm not going home with you tonight. I'm not going to go home and make sure you eat properly, and I'm not going to make sure, I'll ask you next week for sure, but at the end of the day, it does come down to you. Old age is the reward of a long life. You know, we've looked at some really practical ways to age well today, but I think the other not so deep secret of aging well is to make the journey with purpose and mindfulness. I would like to thank the exhibitors that came out today in support of some of the content of this presentation today. Not only do we want to give you some of the suggestions, but we want to help you. We want to give you the resources as well to help you move forward in some of these areas. I invite you all, and you would have received a flyer on your chair drop. I invite you all to think about coming out to the June 10th Seniors Month celebration at the Nepean Senior Center. We do have the author Bruce Grierson, who wrote What Makes Olga Run. He is our keynote speaker. We have the Vanier Institute of the Family talking about grandparenting today. Fit Minds on brain health, a pickleball demo in the afternoon. You know, this is a celebration about aging well and an opportunity to connect with other resources. Thank you very much for your time and attention this morning. I do wish you all the best in your aging well endeavors.
Okay, there are a few minutes for some questions, if you wish. There are microphones and the aisles on the side. You don't have to do anything, just get up to them and talk. And I believe there are some portable microphones on the sides, and if you just put your hand up, somebody will bring one to you. Okay, il y a 2 microphones aux allées centrales.
is a car blocking the loading dock? I'm always the guy that does these announcements. It's parked at the back. It's blocking the loading dock. The car is it's a Pontiac Montana, and the license plate is ACKP, I guess it's a P, 087. Pontiac Montana, ACKP 087, blocking the loading dock. Please move the car.
Okay.
Go ahead with your question.
Hi. Thank you for your talk. It was very good. I have one question. It's about the medications. Did that large number include vitamins?
Medications and drugs do include vitamins, minerals over the counter, naturally occurring and prescribed or manufactured pharmaceuticals as well. They are all technically drugs because they do change the way that your body functions, and there are interactions that lead to problems. Yeah. Yes.
I have a question regarding, it's related to medication. My dad was medicated highly when he was about 80 something, and he ended up in the hospital. And when we had a geriatric assessment, the lady was explaining to us that older people need different medications than adults. And the problem, my concern now at 68 is there's not enough geriatric doctors who understand our brains and we are prescribed medication for adults, and sometimes that reduces our brain function. Is there any increase in geriatric doctors do you know of, or if you encourage that the Canadian Association for Doctors, whatever, medical, for that kind of thing?
Mm-hmm. I do know that there is a shortage. There's no question for our population base. We do not have enough geriatric trained physicians. The only thing I would say in response to the scenario that you described is that going back to this idea of knowing your pharmacist and talking with them directly. They are amazing in terms of their knowledge of how medications are working well or not, and the different impact age or health conditions can have on how well that particular drug is or is not working. So any related questions like that, I would be going directly to a pharmacist, and he or she in turn will communicate with your physician on your behalf. So it's not that you have to try to go and advocate for yourself with your physician about this drug, and he or she may not be that well informed either about all the implications, but bring your pharmacist into the fold and you will make some progress.
Is it me or? Oh, okay. My name is Hussain Chaudhary. My question is about medication. Do you think that there is over prescription of medications, conditions that can be taken care of by exercise and nutrition, or combination of exercise and nutrition, and we are too quick to just rely on medication?
Well, if you'll recall that slide on the hierarchy of medications, right? Definitely, the first step is to look at nutrition and exercise and those types of behaviors. Is there an opportunity to improve that and therefore, reduce your need for certain medications? It's absolutely the first step to take, and then the chance or the opportunity again to reduce the use of medications, usually through lifestyle choices as well. So there's definitely an opportunity to look at those more seriously right at the get-go, or to discuss it with your physician if they're thinking about prescribing. How else can I deal with this health issue from a lifestyle perspective? And it was, as I was preparing for this and talking to my mom about this, you can tell I have a good relationship with my mom. We talk about a lot of things. But she said, When I go to the physicians or I go see my doctor, he never asks me about my lifestyle. He never asks me about how much exercise I get, if I've ever been to see a registered dietitian, never really asks about my social life. It's just always very clinical, right? So that might be something to bring up as well. You know, if they're wanting to prescribe something, you can say, well, how else can we deal with this? What else should I be thinking of?
Yes, it's over.
It's me again. Another one. A gray Honda. This time I got the color. It's gray. And in the middle of the parking lot of all places, so people will not be able to get out. So please move that car, and the license plate is AYXB 808. Gray Honda. Please move the car. Sorry about this.
Yes, next question.
Yeah, it's all very well for you to come in, you know, when we're all retired and talk about fitness, but the time to start, you need to get into offices, you know, at the get-go when people are in their 20s. Because, you know, I did 30-odd years in Ottawa after coming here from Eastern Canada, and, you know, I was really amazed. You got great bike paths, but some buildings have no showers. And the fight to get the showers in, and you got your managers to say, that effort coming into work be far better put into your work. I mean, if they're at EX something or other and you're a clerk, and they got a bulge and they send you emails on Sunday because they're at work and you're biking into work on Monday morning, they're pretty ticked off. And I can remember the fight at around 240 Sparks to get bike parking around the building years ago, let alone forget about parking indoors. You know, like, you need, and if you go to Gatineau Park, after about 30-odd years cross-country skiing up there, you got a nodding acquaintance with the same couple of hundred people that you see in running races and triathlons and all that around town. You don't see too many people from your office. You just see the same people decade after decade, whether it's, you know, weekdays or weekends. Anyway, I think you need to start this sort of thing way earlier.
I would love to, and I am sort of working backwards, right? I mean, one, it's never too late to adopt any of these strategies. Okay, the first thing is never too late. So even if you were wrapped up in your career or you didn't have the opportunity or the environment wasn't set up to allow you to do these things and now you're only in a position to really do it, it's still okay. Go for it. You will still derive benefits from changing some of these behaviors. But absolutely, the sooner we can start on all of this stuff, the better. It's just that most people aren't ready to do that or interested in doing it until, you know, they start to experience changes themselves or they see it in those around them, and then they become more interested. But it's a cultural thing as well. But I am all for reintroducing this kind of...
Many will never change. If you notice, it's always the senior people that go back to consulting. And they'll stay there as long as they can. Anyway.
Thank you for your comments.
Two more questions, and then we're going to have to wrap it up.
My name is Vinny Sahani. One of the things that was left out in Aging Well is your continuing ability to contribute. And that is like, you know, contribute to the society. You are not useless as soon as you started pension. You are very useful. You have lots of talents and all. And one of the best ways you can even enhance your own health, your own brain power and everything is by continuing to contribute to society by being a volunteer in whatever capacity you can. Okay? Whether it's helping your neighbor, next door neighbor, or whether you're being a director of a company, like, or maybe a president of this organization or anything else. Whatever you can do, get out and contribute.
Love it.
That's a very simple message I have.
Absolutely, absolutely. And that, this section on purpose, you know, had we had a little bit more time, because we were starting to run out of time there a little bit, but certainly in that series of slides, we talked about finding a purpose for yourself, which may very well include volunteer work and giving back, because it does give you a chance to grow self-esteem, contentment, knowing you're part of something, And you are valuable. You do have so much to offer and so much experience. So to find an outlet for that is definitely complementary to Aging Well, for sure. Thank you for those comments. They're excellent.
My name is Evangelos Patsouris, and my question is, when the drugstore prescribes the drugs, write the date, but does not write the expire date. And it's very, very important because many people, they live on the shelves, and down the road, after 2-3 years, says it's okay, but expired, which can be very, very bad for their health.
Absolutely.
And I question, and I put them, yes, I say to the drugs pharmacist, I want to be the expire date. It's more important to me expire date than when they gave it to me. When they gave it to me.
Well, they should provide that to you if you're asking for it. The other thing that you can do if you suspect that you have a lot of expired drugs at home is that you can actually have a pharmacist come to your home and sit down and go through all of the drugs with you, and that may help in the process of identifying which ones were recently prescribed. They will have the labels and the coding on there that they can verify the expiration dates as well. So that is one method of doing it, or you could actually take your medications to them as well as part of the Meds Check program.
Will not be more easy when he writes the date of expired than coming to your home and coming? That's my question.
They will put it on the label, and it's oftentimes encoded there. So maybe it's a question of learning and to identify which code it is. But a great conversation to have with your pharmacist for sure.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.